Someone just posted this in another group. Unreal and Unity both have un, and if we remove it, they become real and ity. And you mix them together, it turns into reality. I think he just hacked the universe. What's up, gamers? Hello and welcome to this video of reacting / answering some questions and posts of Facebook. I'm part of a couple of Unity groups, and they are all obviously about game development, so let's just jump into it. Before I start, actually, consider to subscribe and hit that like button if you like this video and you want more of this. And subscribe because I've been working on this thing related to cloth simulation and whatnot, that you don't want to miss it. It's gonna come sometime soon, but not sure when exactly. Also, there is a new asset coming on the line, and for the first couple of days, or I guess the first couple of people who buy it, it's gonna be half price. So hit that subscribe so you don't miss the next video about it. With that being said, let's start with this one. So this guy made an asset and it's on the asset store and it just looks great. Yeah, that's pretty good, I would say, because most of these posts are not as good as this, and you will see what I'm talking about. Anyway, jumping to the next one. So this guy says game dev is hard, it's brutal, it's a slug. I don't know what slug is, but it's mostly thankless. What keeps you moving forward? What keeps you motivated as a game developer? First off, if you are saying it's hard and brutal, then you probably shouldn't do it. Usually, game developers that can survive doing that, they are passionate about it. Like, they enjoy writing code and like the whole process of making all the assets and designing the game and the levels and all of that stuff. Usually, staying motivated is by planning, creating tasks. I know it's boring, but it gives you this feeling of accomplishment when you have all the tasks, and then each time you finish one task, you mark it as done. Then you know your progress, right? Another thing is setting deadlines. So you have to say, well, at the end of this week, I'll finish the movement and the shooting and all of that stuff, for example. And then you start moving towards that goal. It's much harder when there is no actual deadline, like you are an indie developer and there is no one pressing you or pushing you to finish these things on the deadline, but you can still kinda push yourself to such a deadline, which is very helpful and motivating. Moving on. So this guy wants this effect, and it's literally, if you go to Blender, you can just enter edit mode, select all the faces, and using the face drop down, do flip all normals, and you have this effect. It's as easy as that. Just ask Google, please. Anyways, I want to implement unlock button level with in-game coins. How to do that? Please help. I don't really understand what he needs or wants. And you will find a lot of these questions around these groups. So I think you have to learn English well in order to be able to do anything almost on your own, or basically based on the internet, because most of the resources on the internet are in English. So you have to ask the good question to have your answer. And asking other people, you will probably get a lot of people mocking you and whatnot. Moving on. What are your hobbies outside of game dev? And you can see for something like this, you will have 195 comments. You will find a lot of nice and funny memes and answers. But for me personally, I like some sports like racquetball, squash, gardening, planting new stuff. Yeah, that's about it. And oh my god, can you look at this beast? This is insane, obviously. You should never have something this complicated. And when you are approaching something like this, once you have like 5 of these and each one is going forward and backwards between each other, these are basically the animation states. So this one could be the idle, and this one is running, this one is jumping, etc. And you shouldn't have transitions between all of them, obviously. That's the first thing. Second thing, you have things like blend trees and nested structures and all of that stuff. So in general, I would recommend, before starting to do something that you know how to do, right? Just think about it. Think how complicated it's going to be. And if you think this is the only solution, then you should probably ask Google first and see what other people did to fix your problem. Because planning is very crucial. And the second thing is, once you start on implementing something like this, it's very easy to get very blinded about other options, and you just keep on doing it until you have something like this, and then you're like, oh, this is really not what I want, and it doesn't make any sense, and it's not readable, and how do I debug it, and it doesn't work, and all of that stuff. But yeah, so think about it before. Even like things like programming, you should always think about it, and it would even make more sense. It would even make more sense to go to a whiteboard, try to draw some stuff, connect them to each other before you try to code, unless it's something very simple. Moving on. So this guy says, someone just posted this in another group. Unreal and Unity both have un, and if we remove it, they become real and itty. And you mix them together, it turns into reality. I think he just hacked the universe. Good meme. Let's look at some of the comments. His IQ is at 200. Yeah. He chose the red pill. Good memes. Funny stuff. Anyways, moving on. So this guy says, I need a game developer to develop a game from my idea. And obviously we'll have a lot of comments. Probably a lot of them are just mocking him and whatnot. Yeah. So this type of post is very common, which is that, yo guys, I have ideas about games, that these ideas are very lit, but I'm not really a programmer, so I want something to program it. And most of the times it's like, yeah, for free, and we will do like, I don't know, if there is a profit, then it's half or something like that. It basically doesn't make any sense. And to be honest, a lot of people have great ideas, or at least ideas about games, and you can even look at other games and get inspired, like mix 2 ideas of 2 different games, and it works. And to be honest, a lot of the known and profitable games do not have original ideas. Things like battle royale games and, I don't know, MRPG games, and a lot of these. It's very rare to have a new unique idea in a profitable game, but you will have a lot of indie games trying new ideas and all of that. Moving on. So this guy says, is it possible to make a huge space game like Star Citizen for low-end mobile? And Star Citizen is a game that have a Kickstarter, which had, or something like that, a crowdfunding basically, which have the most fund. It's basically a most funded game of all time, and it's like in hundreds of millions of dollars. And till now, it's like still in beta, which is just insane. And it's probably because of the scope of the game. It's like in the space, and it's like almost maybe, I wouldn't say infinite, but it might be, I don't know, procedural generated and all of that stuff. It's obviously on PC and maybe on some consoles. So this guy wants to make it like for end mobile, and if it is not even done for PC, then, well, good luck. The other thing is, for mobile games, it's gonna be very heavy unless you do a lot of compromises on like objects and speeds and all of that stuff. Moving on. So this post says, I want to make an open world game space simulator. Just like that Star Citizen one. Anyway, so like Universe Sandbox, but why do problems like this happen? The world is limited, but why games like Universe Sandbox can be freely explored up to the scale of the solar system, even up to tens of light years. How to solve the problem like this? And he's basically he keeps on moving on the Z or what, it doesn't matter which one. And obviously any system would have some limitation on that. And you have to do some workaround. Things like have a duplicate of all of the objects, let's say on 10,000 and minus 10,000, right? So all objects on 10,000, they do exist also on minus 10,000. And once the player passes 10,000, you teleport him immediately to minus 10,000. And the player does not know what happened. He still sees all the objects are the same and all of that. But now you have them like going from the end of the screen appearing on the beginning of the screen. It's the same idea. The other guys here are all of them saying, most of them saying you should move the objects and not the player. So the player is always on 0, 0, 0, and when he tries to move, then all the objects move. It's kind of possible, but it's a bit difficult to implement, to be honest. Moving on. So this post says, I do have a lot of ideas on making games, but apparently I don't have any idea on how or what engine to use. Newbie here. Well, you can ask Google. I would say most people are using either Unreal Engine or Unity Engine. I think these are the most two common engines, and they have pros and cons. You can ask Google again. Yeah, so that's your answer. So this post says, I cannot build my game. Anyone can build it. I will give him $10 instant. One problem after another is coming. Well, here's the thing. If you cannot do and handle this line, which is basically fixing one problem after another, then programming is most probably not your thing, because programming is all about this iteration of fixing problems. So maybe you should consider seeing something different. Obviously, you will find someone telling him it won't be your game anymore if another person built it, which, yeah, makes sense. But if you want someone to make your game, $10 is nothing, to be honest. Game developers wouldn't, at least professional ones, like the ones that have 3+ years, I would say at least $40 an hour, right? And obviously based on how big the game is, I would say something like Flappy Birds would take maybe 8 hours or something like that. So that's much more than $10. Moving on. So this post says, please share who has the experience selling assets at asset store. Will it helps to make enough for your living? This is kind of a good answer, yes. But you obviously need to market that asset, or otherwise probably no one's gonna know about it. And I think there are some people that are just living off of the asset store. To be honest, it is profitable. All right, so this post says, making game is so hard. Even just a 3-shape match game like Candy Crush, the logic is too hard. If so, to you, then programming again is not your thing. You should find something else that you are good at. That's basically my answer. Let's see this guy. When my students say it's too hard, it is usually because they haven't broken it down into small enough pieces. Maybe, but I mean, if you already spent a year, I would say, learning programming and all of that stuff, and you still find it like this, then you should probably find something different that you are good at. And this statement, don't give up, is in the blood of every good programmer, to be honest. Moving on. Can Unity make an MMORPG online game? And how to do that? Any tips? I am beginner for using Unity. Yes, obviously. Unity can make almost any game. And just ask Google, please. And you will have a lot of comments. Just use the built-in MMO method. Easy MMO create. Yeah, some of these comments are nice. Which versions of Unity is good to use first? I would say, yeah, exactly, latest. Oh, oops. And this is a nice comment. Let's ask Zuckerberg to add a Google window inside of Facebook. It's because a lot of these questions can be asked on, like, searched on Google, and you will find the answer much quicker than posting it on a group and waiting for answers. I would suggest starting with Unity 1. Oh man. Yeah, that's nice. That's funny. But yeah, a lot of people stick to older versions of Unity, and maybe if you have a big project, then it takes a lot of time to switch to newer versions. But obviously, going to the latest version, at least a stable latest version, you will have a lot of more features and performance and all of that fun stuff. So that's gonna be it for this video. I didn't make it through all of them. These will be maybe another video if you guys like this. I see more than 90% of you watching my videos and not subscribing. Why is that? Come on, bro. Just hit that like button and that red subscribe button so that you can know about my future videos. That's gonna be it. Have a nice one.